Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 11 of What If Naruto was the direct descendant of the sage. Remember to get this one to 200 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the new episode over on Anime King 3. Link will be at the top of the description for you guys to go over there and enjoy guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button. And I hope you all are having a wonderful day and I can make it just a bit better. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off. As Naruto arrived, as Shizuku was happy, she was delighted that he was okay. Fu was happy as well, but when Shizuku hugged Naruto, she felt something strange, as she wondered if she was becoming ill or something. She shrugged it off though. So with that, the group continued to move, knowing that they will be hunted down by Kumo now, as Naruto was able to shrink the pot, as Fu and Shizuku went out to get a boat so they can go towards the mainland. As they were going towards the land of water, as Naruto went into his mindscape, he had enough time as he had taken the Nibe, yes, and sealed it within himself, now hosting 3 Bijus. As Naruto went there, the Nibe introduced herself and even told him her real name, Monotabe. The fox growled at her, as any sort of respect he had for her was no gone, but she simply growled back at him, as he was always a grumpy type. As the both of them became heated in argument, as Naruto stepped in and flared his running gun towards the fox. As the Kyuubi calmed down as he simply turned his head, as the Nibi was quite submissive. She was happy to be here, and she saw Naruto as their father as well. As she asked him to pat her head as well, he went over and did it. Given all the things that he has done so far, this wasn't a surprise for him, as she ended up falling asleep, as he looked at the fox before leaving. Naruto had the idea, as they couldn't get any boats. Boats must be searched before moving off by Kumo, as they were adamant on finding Naruto. So Naruto had a good idea, as he skipped along the ocean. Yes, as he just uses reflective power and skip along the ocean. Shizuku and Fu thought that he was crazy to do this. When he arrived, he was exhausted as he summoned them towards his location. As he ended the past note, he woke up to see a little girl, as they were taken in by a woman. For the time being, as Naruto and the author said goodbye as they made their way, things were really bad here, as Naruto was able to create a gold coin, just from manipulation alone, able to use a black rod. He tried to create bread, but it was disgusting, as he later on then focused on taste and smell, and Fu tasted it was delicious now. The group made their way, as there was war going on, already so close. As they found bodies litter everywhere. As Naruto saw someone was alive, it was a girl, as she had a nasty gash right to her stomach. As he told her to just stay still, as he patched her up with his bandage, but he needed to get her out of here. She pointed him towards the location where he can bring her, but they were stopped, as some man surrounded them. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the relationship for yourself. So what is to begin this new episode? Sorry kids, we can't let you leave here. Especially, not with that bloodline scum you're carrying. As Naruto's eyes narrowed slightly at the man. Well, they were more narrow now, seeing that they were already narrowed, so people wouldn't see his eyes. Are you the ones that did this, Naruto said, waving his hand to show all the chaos and destruction around. The man in the front of the trio chuckled harshly, with a grin across his face. Nah, we're just a cleanup crew, sent to deal with any stragglers, like that bitch you got there. Naruto's lip twisted in disgust, as he moved his body between the 3 man and woman. You come and kill weakened man and dying woman. That is disgraceful. The leader of the group simply sneered, as his patience had worn out with his breath. We don't need a lecture of ethics from some punk kid, especially when you speak like those things are human. Maybe you do need a lecture, said Naruto. You're obviously quite ignorant. The man patient just snapped away. Like I'll take that from some punk ass kid barely into his teens. As he tossed a handful of kuna at Naruto, expect Naruto to just fall over dead. To his surprise though, the flying weapon stopped in mid-air, like they had hit some kind of invisible wall. They clattered to the ground. A moment later, Naruto's gaze turned cold as he raised his hand. The grown man's feet burst open or turned to sand as it enclosed two of them. The first one though, he was fast enough to leap out of the sand as he landed back. He blinked in confusion as he never expected a retaliation like that as his two partners were captured. Who are you? Naruto remained quiet as his hand twisted, sand, tentacles, lashing out from the ground trying to capture the man. Naruto lacked the control that Gaara had, but his movements were swift and quick already. But the man was obviously a Jonin and he was able to avoid the deadly whips. Seeing that he wasn't going to get anything right here, the man knew that Yagura would definitely want to hear about this, so he tried to leave. Universal pull! The man's eyes widened when he was suddenly yanked out of the air as he was pulled back towards the blonde. But he was still a Jonin, one, hardened by war nonetheless. He think quickly on his feet as he pulled the Tonto out of his sheath on his back and pointed straight towards Naruto, aiming to Naruto's head off. Naruto's eyes widened a bit as he dived to the side, avoiding the attack as the man swung after him. The man then turned to spin as out of the corner of his eye, Fu was coming towards him. But before anything else could be happening, the man's face suddenly sank. Something hit him, something unseen. Almighty. Push! Naruto muttered the words. The man's body broke through several trees as he was sent crashing violently. As Naruto turned towards the location, he did not find any chakra. As he sent his awareness through the ground, he still didn't find any. The man must have run off. He got away, said Fu, as she frowned. As Shizuku looked relief, for a moment there, it looked like Naruto was going to lose his head. He needed to be careful when he brought things closer to him. Their attention was turned though to the woman, as she moaned in pain. Without further delay, they picked her up and brought her into the forest, the location that she pointed them to. Naruto thought it best to bring along the two men that they have captured, as they were floating in sand, cocoons. As Naruto thought that he might not make it in time for the woman to get the proper treatment, but when he voiced his concern, the woman merely pointed again, as she was struggling to even point her hand. Suddenly, 5 mass flickers appeared around them, as they were looking at him suspiciously. Nezumaru, one of the shinobi, he could tell that it was a woman, as he could see the curves in her armor as she rushed past Naruto. Quickly checking over the orange-haired woman on the sand bed, one of the males walked over to Naruto as he could see that he was the one using that floating sand structure. He glanced towards the two loyalists as well, that were trapped in sand cocoon. He didn't recognize them though. What happened? Where did you find this woman? Naruto looked at the man. He had grey hair that was tied back in a ponytail, with a mask that had slit for eyes, and a wave-like pattern on one side. I found her in a clearing. She was attacked. She led me here where she could get treatment. The man nodded as he glanced over. The bandages were soaked completely by blood. He seemed to think for a moment, weighing up things in his head before nodding once. Are you able to maintain that bed for another 5 minutes? Naruto simply nodded. If he need to, he could keep it up for a few more hours. Alright then, follow us. But keep your hands to yourself. If we see any signs that you might endanger our camp, we will not hesitate to cut you and your companions down. Naruto simply nodded as he wanted to get the woman somewhere with proper medical care. She needed help quickly. The grey-haired man was eyeing Naruto up as they walked. Blonde, spiky hair, just like a monk. Green hair as he looked over the Fu. Purple hair as he looked over Shizuku. They matched the description. But how was he able to manipulate the sand like that? The man wondered to himself. Time skip. A few days passed as Naruto was currently sitting in a tent in a rather large camp. When they arrived at the rebel camp, Naruto was surprised that they allowed them in. He thought they would have to leave because they would think that they were spies. Apparently, the captain of the camp, an older man with dark brown hair, named Sergai, needed them to stay until his captain come and ask him some questions. Naturally, Naruto and Shizuku was worried about this. Fu, be her impassive self, she didn't show much feelings towards the situation. Of course, they were quickly assured that if they bared no ill will against the rebels, and from what they did of rescuing the Kunoichi, they wouldn't have anything against them. That didn't ease their worries though. Shinobis was never the most honest people. He found out this was one of the many camps scattered all around. He wasn't foolish enough to ask what the other camps was. That would be far too suspicious and they would think of him as a spy. But he was still curious. He presumed that they were hidden by traps, genjutsu, and the mist as well, that worked to both sides' favor. Technically, they were being held captive by the rebels, but they weren't treated badly, although the shinobis came first. And it was a prime opportunity to talk to their shinobis about water feints. Shizuku loved the extra help, as they didn't see anything wrong with helping her. Helping the younger generation remind the older war veteran of their youths, and when they weren't in fighting and chaos all the time. As Shizuku had created leaps and bound the second stage, moving past it rather quickly, creating a whirlpool out of nothing but water manipulation chakra. As Naruto started to practice as well, with each passing element that he practiced, it became rather easier. That reminded him of his goal of learning all about chakra. It has been 1 year and 3 months since leaving the temple now, and Naruto was now 12 years old. Well, he still had a lot to do. Shizuku ducked under the flap of the tent as she entered. "Hey Naruto, you wanna see me, right?" Naruto stood up as he looked towards her with a nod. He tried to talk to his tenants once again, but Monotabi was asleep, something she often do. Shikako was his usual psychotic self, and the Kyuubi was being more stubborn than usual. "Yeah, come on, I want to try something," as he ducked under the flap, the both of them walking out into the rain. "Where are you taking me?" she asked as she followed behind him. He had a smile as he simply took her hand and carried on. She looked at his hand as she smiled, felt the warmth flowing to her from the contact. She had to refrain from giggling like a schoolgirl as he led her to the outer ear of the camp, a small stream with a pond. As she was practicing out here, it was perfect to practice her jutsus. There were seals set up around the perimeter to stop any use of chakra being leaked and the loyalists find out, so it allowed the rebels to practice and hone their skills. "Alright, this should do." Shizuku smiled, as Naruto did not let go of her hand even though they stopped. Not that she was going to inform him, she liked it. As she realized they were all alone, the training ground was empty. "Come on Naruto, should do for what?" she asked as she wondered. Was this something personal? Simple. "We're going to stop the rain." She blinked once, then twice. Then she looked at him strangely for a moment. "Didn't you already do that with your gravity ability?" she asked. Naruto shook his head no with a grin. "No, that's too easy." To raise a point, he raised his hand. Shizuku felt like nothing was holding her on the ground anymore. She had to anchor herself with chakra because she felt like she was going to float away. More incredibly though, the rain around them had stopped falling. The drops just hung limply in the air, like they were held up by a piece of strings. "Whoa," she said as she looked around. It was amazing. "That's nothing. You're going to stop it entirely," said Naruto. "But how?" she asked. Naruto took her another hand, as her face became rather red, as he sat down, pulling her down with him as well, as she folded her legs, as he sat in his meditative position, as he smiled firmly at her, not really focused on the water droplets on his face. "Focus, Shizuku. I want you to treat this like a normal chakra water exercise." She wondered what he was planning and why he needed to hold her hand to do it, well, not that she was complaining. "Reach out with your chakra, feel it jumping through every drop of rain, and then push it back." Shizuku frowned, but she closed her eyes as she focused what Naruto described, pushing her chakra outwards and shifting into water chakra as it left her body. As she felt it about 5 feet wide around her, as her chakra flowed into the droplets, she started to struggle as sweat started to come down her forehead. She opened her eyes as the rain around her lightened up. Nothing was getting through much, but around it, the rain was still pouring, heavy. "I can't do anymore," she says. Her voice was slightly strained from the stress, but she felt Naruto grip tight on her hand, the warmth of the skin relaxing her. "It's alright, don't give up," he said. She nodded as she poured her chakra out. She felt a massive influx of chakra race through her body. As she opened her eyes to see Naruto smiling in front of her, she realized she was using his chakra. It made her smile and blush as well when she realized a bit of Naruto was inside of her. It felt unlimited, like she can use as much and never feel tired. It was like seeing the ocean for the first time, struggling to comprehend how vast it was. As she bathed the air around them with her water nature chakra, the next time she opened her eyes, the rain had stopped completely. She couldn't see the edge, even at the edge of the training ground that she was in. We did it!" Her voice was quiet, like she didn't actually believe what she was saying. As she looked around, trying to find if rain was still falling, if her eyes were tricking her. She shot to her feet. "We did it!" she screamed. As Naruto got to his feet, Shizuku smiled as she laughed at the sky. It was the first time she had been around the clouds, and they did not rain on her. Well, except for in Kumo. As she looked towards Naruto with a big smile, she crashed right into him in a big tight hug, tackling him down to the ground, placing her face right in his chest. "Thank you." Over and over she whispered. When she finally stepped back as she was sitting right on his lap, she noticed a strange look on his face. Naruto? She was confused what was going on, as he was just looking at her, his eyes fully open. What she didn't know was that Naruto was transfixed. As he was looking at her, she wasn't wearing her micro outfit. Instead, she was wearing a tight navy shirt with black leggings, not to mention she was soaked, so it rather stick to her body. Naruto, she said. He leaned up as their faces were now a few inches apart, as she was captivated by his eyes, the same eyes that always held her attention. She almost flinched as he raised his hand and wiped off a single drop that was clinging to her cheek, as it broke her from her trance. A minute ago, she wasn't even aware of her surroundings anymore. Naruto, she said quietly, as Naruto moved closer and she did as well. Soon their noses were touching, their breath coming in faster as their hearts started to beat faster. And just like that, their lips met. She placed her hands on his cheeks as he wrapped his arms around her, deepening the kiss. When they finally parted, the both of them were smiling. Then, like any good thing, they went back for more. Time skip. They had to wait a whole other day for the commander to finally return. A tall man with blue hair that was spiked up, as he had on a battle kimono and an eye patch over his right eye, as he met Naruto outside. Right in front of the armory, that was the only place that Naruto and his group was not allowed inside. When the tent opened though, he saw maps on the table and weapons. So you're the kid the reporter was talking about. I heard you had some interesting abilities. The man's piercing gaze lingered on Naruto, as Naruto's face was calm. What's your name? Naruto smiled. Naruto Uzumaki, he said. The man looked at him, not saying anything for a moment. Ayo, he said after a while. As Naruto raised the eyebrow, there was a policy of not telling him or his friends any of the members' name, since that they, didn't fully trust him yet. He only heard the captain's name when he overheard it from when a shinobi had given a report. As Ayo noticed the look, trust me kid, telling you my name means nothing. I am known to the loyalists by description. Naruto simply nodded. It was like he was going to report this place to the loyalists. I'm gonna get straight to the point, kid. What are your intentions? Naruto raised his hands to disarm. He had left his Shakicho in the tent. I'm just a traveling monk. I heard about the situation Miss Nokuni was in, and I wanted to see if I could do anything to help. Trust me, kid, you should just leave while you can. A few people have tried the same thing you have, and have either gone home with a few scratches or broken limbs, or several limbs, or not gone home at all. That was something else Naruto already knew, but he simply nodded. I think me and my companions will stay for a little while longer. There are still things we wish to do in the area. Ayo narrowed his eyes slightly, frowning at another stubborn kid, which he thought didn't know any better. I don't think you understand, kid. From the reports, one of the shinobis you encountered got away, so he will most likely report to Yagura. That puts you and your friends in danger. Naruto simply smiled softly, surprising Ayo how calm he was, despite the danger to his life. I wouldn't worry about me or my friends, Ayo-san. We're perfectly capable of defending ourselves. Again, Ayo already knew that, as he went through the report that he got. Yes, that's sand ability we're seen using. Naruto smiles with his hand as the ground break as sand pulled out into a small makeshift camp. As Naruto allowed it to drop down. An interesting ability combine your large chakra reserves, and you could be quite powerful as a shinobi. Anyway kid, a word of advice. When we let you out of the base, start heading out of the country, or either way, head east. The fight is not bad out there, and you should lay low for a while until Yagura interest in you decrease. He's not someone that you want as an enemy. Ask any of the rebels here. He alone has killed more people here than any other loyalist. Naruto nodded once again. As Naruto asked a question, when you finally let us leave, he said, our camps shift position occasionally. You'll be allowed to leave when this one is moving. We obviously can't just let you leave knowing the position of one of our forward bases. Ayo didn't wait to see if Naruto understand or not. He just waved his hand and then ducked under the flap and went back into the room. Ayo felt a feeling though that this wasn't the last time he would see this brat. Time skip. The camp was a buzzing activity as people went about their business as it was final day that Naruto and his team get to leave. Tents were being disassembled all around them, rations being sealed away. As Naruto was making his way towards a still up tent, and that was a hospital, as he went under the flap and entered, as he had come here a number of times now, as they let him pass. As he visited the woman, today was final day when she can get back on her feet. In their previous conversation, she couldn't really talk well, seeing that her injury was bad. Hey Naruto, she said. The two had gotten along well once she was informed that Naruto was one that saved her. He was right. If she did not receive the first aid that he had given her, she would have bled out in the first minutes that he found her. Luckily, she hadn't sworn her undying loyalty to him or something like that. He didn't know he could deal with another situation like that, especially things are now getting strange, complicated with Shizuki in the group. seeing that they've, well, kissed twice now. Hey Nezumaru, said Naruto, with a smile. As she sat up in the bed, still wincing a bit. She wouldn't be able to fight for a few months, but at least she wasn't dead. Hey, take it easy, said Naruto. She smiled. That's a funny thing to say to a Kunoichi, Naruto. We don't know how to take it easy. As Naruto sighed, from his interaction with her, she was very passionate with everything that she did. Training, her family, or her pride over the rebellion, Nezumaru, never did anything by half measure, always to the fullest. So we're leaving today. Have you thought about what I said some more? Naruto replied with a sad smile. She nodded in understanding. During their talk, she caught a glimpse of Naruto's eyes. Thankfully, she was grateful enough to him not to tell anyone else. But she asked him why he didn't join the rebellion when he too had a bloodline. But Naruto told her he could not take part in violence, except for self-defense. She was active in trying to persuade him to help though, as she knew that he would be a great help in the fight. But she understand. I understand your reasons, Naruto. But still, that didn't mean that she wouldn't try to change him. But what we're doing is for the good of the entire country. Miss Nokuni can never heal from the massacres of Yagura State Mizukage. If you help us, I'm sure that you can help us bring him down even faster. I think you're overestimating me slightly, said Naruto. She shook her head, no. No way, I bet if you and my aunt may team up, you can easily take down the Mizukage. Naruto chuckled as he heard about her aunt, the leader of the rebellion, Mate Harumi. From what he heard, she was incredibly powerful, able to utilize 2 elemental manipulation in combat. And he heard that the woman was remarkably beautiful from some of the male shinobis around the camp. I'm just a monk, said Naruto. Yeah, a monk with a legendary dough. Naruto placed a hand over her mouth as she mumbled. Shh, I don't want people to find out. I've already told you that. She stared at him with large eyes, unable to talk until he removed his hand. But why not? You get loads of respect and people in rebellion will look up to you with such a powerful bloodline. This time her voice was quieter. Exactly, I would have all that attention on me. People would try to come after me to fight me, or try to use me and my eyes to their ends. It will put myself, and most importantly, my friends in danger. She pouted as she crossed her arms. But you're plenty strong. Naruto smiled softly as he patted her on the shoulder. Not strong enough. She still continued to pout, wondering why her new friend wouldn't use his bloodline to help the rebellion. But when is strong enough, she asked. Hopefully, I will never have to find out, he said. With that, Fu came in. As it was time to leave, they had to go and find Shizuku. I guess this is goodbye then, said Naruto. Nah, she said. We'll see each other again, I know it. I still have to introduce you to Aunt May. She'll be able to convince you, I just know it. Naruto smiled once again as he patted her on the shoulder as he left. She never lost her smile. She sat back down in the medical bed. Time skip, the trio were back on the road again as they were heading east in the forest. Know that both Shizuku and Naruto had the means to complete their water exercises. There was no reason for them to go to Kiri. There was also a small fact that Kiri was on complete lockdown. No one went in or out without being completely searched. Without proper identification, it was unlikely that it would get close. And with Naruto's eyes, they would instantly be arrested. Well, they will try to arrest them. Naruto wouldn't let that happen. He wasn't sure what to do next. Technically, there was nothing left for them to do here in the Waterland. But he felt like he had a purpose here, like there was something he had to do. But he still didn't know what that was yet. Nezumaru, words still rang in his head as he wondered if it was wrong to turn down the chance to join the rebellion. It went against his peaceful views, but at the same time what Yagura was doing was wrong. They passed through a few more towns as they saw the scars of war. People on the streets, or the increased loyalists and rebel presence, or the hopelessness hanging over the people. The war seemed like it took a toll on everyone. As they made their way towards a cliff, as Naruto saw the sea below them, he sighed. They had a long journey and each of them were tired. Some relaxation could do them good. The beach of sand made Naruto quickly sit up a hut as the rain wasn't falling, as the sun was shining bright. Shizuku beamed at the sight. She never thought she would enjoy a beach in sunlight. Now she wished she had a bathing suit. Wow, this place is beautiful, she said, as Naruto agreed with her decoration, as he wished the rest of the country could be as calm and beautiful as this single stretch of sand. It certainly lived up to the portrayal in the books, said Fu. Naruto was surprised to hear that from her, and that only increased his happiness. I guess we earned a day off. Through their travels, Naruto had worked on his creation, and he handed off food to people that they passed by. He was simply feeding people like any way, if he would have it to spare. Luckily he was able to fix the taste, otherwise he might have been doing more harm than good. Whatever he made, he couldn't just turn back into black dust, so he had to give it out, all of it. Suddenly, there was a bird call. Naruto looked up in the sky as he didn't see anything, but the call then cried out closer that time, confusing him. Decided to ignore the annoying bird, Naruto turned towards the sea. Naruto! Shizuku cried out. Naruto's eyes snapped up from her cry. She was in the talons of an eagle, being flown out to sea. She was out of range of his universal pull before he could even blink. He took off after her as the large bird fly even faster. He heard his name as he lost sight of her. Shizuku, he cried out. By the time Fu caught up to him, the bird was already long gone. He quickly brought up his chakra to summon something, but Fu grabbed his hand. Naruto, she said. What, Fu? We don't have time for this now. Calm down. You have to think, she said. As Fu knew that he'd get carried away and not think when his friends were in trouble. But Fu stared at him hardly as he calmed down. As he took a deep breath, calming himself. He nearly slapped himself as he realized, damn, I could just summon her back. Fu smiled as she was waiting for him to realize that as she stepped back. Summoning, said Naruto. What the hell? There was nothing there. He started to panic now. There was nowhere the bird could have gotten out of his range yet. Hell, he didn't even have a range for summoning. He hated to think it, but even if she was killed, he should have been able to summon her body. What's wrong, said Fu. Naruto turned towards her with a helpless look. I don't know. I can't summon her here. Fu frowned at that, as she had no idea where that giant eagle had gone. Naruto shared her thoughts. Summoning, he says. He slammed his hand down. The smoke cleared to show nothing as his chakra rushed back into his body. As Naruto started to get pissed. We'll have to go after her. Summoning, as a massive seal array spread out all around. That same large drill-beak bird that Naruto summoned in Kumo appeared. Get on, he said. Both of them jumped on the bird's back as the thing lifted off. As Naruto had tried thinking about summoning the bird that took Shizuku. But what if he did? And she was dropped in the ocean from that height. No, he wouldn't risk it. Chakra drain or not, that would surely kill her, or at least injure her badly, and she would drown out there by herself. As he allowed the summon to fly off in the destination where he saw the eagle go. As the minutes passed and they saw nothing, both of them grew more worried. Fu was trying to hide it, but she was worried as well. But when they started to enter a more turbulent area of the seas, Fu spotted something. Over there, as Naruto saw a small island. It was the only they had, so his steer is summoned over there. As they got close to the island, it wasn't as small as they thought. With a mountain, seeming to be a volcano to the side, and thick forest behind it. If the eagle took her to his nest, it will be somewhere high up the mountain. And if it's it will be in the mountain in ways, said Fu. Naruto nodded, as Naruto was looking over to the left side of the bird. So, when something attacked from the right, he did not see it. Look out, Fu said! As Fu was fast enough to stop the golden chains that wrapped around the bird. As they wrapped around the bird's wing and started to pull. As it wasn't chains, it was golden symbols. As they tightened, forcing something to poof away. As Naruto and Fu started to drop. Fu! He tried to reach out to grab her, but they were already far apart. A cloak of red chakra ignited around her as two wings emerged. As Naruto only had one choice, he was too close to the earth. Almighty push, he said. As he fired off hard, but with the speed that he was coming down with, he still crashed, creating a crater. If his body had not reinforced itself with chakra, he would have surely broken a few bones. As it was, he found himself lying down there on the ground, groaning in pain as his consciousness started to drift away. The last thing he saw was a flash of red hair before his eyes closed. Fu drifted down, as she lost sight of Naruto when he fell, as she allowed her habitual cloak to drop, as the power receded back into the seal. She still, despite using that chakra, she wanted to be strong by herself, not by borrowed power. She only used it as a last resort when there was no other option, like when she needed to fly. Damn it, if only she had acted quicker. If only she had seen it faster, she would have been able to fly after Shizuku before the eagle took her away. She had hesitated out of shock. If she had only noticed that strange golden chain sooner, she would have warned him quicker and he could have turned the bird. She cursed her own inability to protect her friends. She knew that Naruto would have come up with something to cushion his fall as she rushed towards the direction where she thought he landed. Fu arrived to see a human-sized crater with a larger destruction area near to it. But they were both empty. She knew if he had stayed conscious, which was rather doubtful, if he hit it so hard, he wouldn't have gotten too far. She touched the floor gently as she pulled some chakra through the earth. A few insects gathered around her, feeding her information. A gift that being the Jinjulki of Nanabe gave her. But she became worried when she knew that someone was here, and they were taken away by a different chakra source, and she dashed off to where it was. But before she got too far, she had to launch herself to the side, avoiding a dangerous animal. When she jumped to her feet, she saw a giant centipede. Fu wondered what was going on. She couldn't communicate with this particular insect. She quickly realized it was a summon as the thing launched towards her, trying to tear her apart as she jumped to the side and ran through hand signs. A long blade of water materialized on her hand, drawing from the moisture on the air. As she went into a stance, waiting on Centipede to attack, the creature launched forward straight towards her once again. As the clicking mandibles came closer, she sent chocolate to her legs and flipped over it. As Fu slashed down, driving right through the thing's head, slicing it down. When she landed, the thing split apart and poofed away. When she was about to move off once again, she heard a hissing noise, as it was a massive snake. How inconvenient, said Fu as she sighed. Time skip. As Naruto was waking up, from a light streaming through the window from where he was, he estimated it was only an hour since he fell unconscious. He was in a bedroom, the walls were stone, but were painted red. There was only the bed that he was lying on and a desk in the corner. He swung his legs off the bed. Oh, you're already up, said a voice. It was a girl as she walked inside. Naruto blinked at the girl that rushed over to him. She looked rather concerned. She had long red hair tied up in two bands at the front, with a simple white headband. A blue and yellow kimono. The most strange thing though was the long, transparent ribbon that was behind her, as it was two of them looking like two tails, and she was barefoot as well. Where am I? The girl fumbled her hands over another, looking nervous, before she hung her head in shame. I'm really sorry. When I saw the bird flying overhead, I thought you were in me, and Matsumoto sensei told me if I ever saw anyone like that I was supposed to capture them. She looked up sadly. But I didn't mean for you to fall like that. My technique is only used to buying things. As she looked down, upset to herself for nearly hurting someone. Oh, it's okay. Wait, where's Fu? He says he looked around. Sorry, I only found you, she said. If your friend also fell, then you're somewhere out in the forest. Naruto got to his feet as he rushed towards the door, as her hand gripped his arm. Wait, you can't go out there. The summoned animals attack anyone they don't recognize. Naruto paused as the girl looked fearful for his safety. Odd, considering that she was the one that made him fall in the first place. All the more reason to go and find my friend if she's hurt out there. I need to help her, said Naruto. He was about to leap away from the girl, but he stopped, once again nearly slapping himself for his stupidity. He took a breath. Summoning, he said. The girl watched the ceiling matrix spread out, as the room was bathed into a white smoke. Ah, Naruto, I was wondering when you might summon me, said Fu, as she gave him a blank look. Give me a break, he said. I've been unconscious for who knows how long. Fu blinked as she allowed the water blade to be dispersed, annoying the red-haired girl as it got water all over her floor. 32 minutes. Naruto blinked, she had counted. Whoa, how did you summon a human? Both Naruto and Fu turned, as the girl got over the annoyance of having her floor being soaked. Naruto simply chucked in the back of his head, as Fu looked around their surroundings, see where they have ended up. It's just an ability of mine. The girl nodded as she couldn't believe it. That shouldn't be possible. Summoning was a complex contract between a human and an animal that allowed them to use space-time ninjutsu briefly. To manipulate it to apply to another human, even just one, was unheard of and crazy. The only thing that would come close was a reverse summon, but clearly, that wasn't what she saw. Oh, she said. My name is Hanaka, by the way. Naruto smiled pleasantly. This is Fu. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Wait. As the girl rushed across the room, looking at him closely. Did you say you're Uzumaki? Yeah, said Naruto. She screamed out in excitement and tackled him to the ground. I can't believe it. I thought I was the last one. She sat back as she was sitting on his waist now. I'm Hanaka, Uzumaki, she said. Naruto's eyes widened, before his expression became saddened. Confusing Hanaka. I think there's been a misconception. Listen, I'm an orphan. I'm pretty sure the name was given to me at random. I don't think I'm a genetic Uzumaki. Otherwise, someone would have told me by now. I don't have the red hair or purple eyes. She shook her head in denial. She found some family, and he was saying that it wasn't true. No, but you don't know for sure, right? Naruto shrugged sadly, as he didn't know why the Hokage would keep a family that he had, even though they were mostly wiped out from him. Well, I don't believe you, she said. The way I see it, you're practically family. She beamed at him, as he gave a weak smile back. The whole situation was rather awkward. For all of his young life, he always wanted family parents, someone to go back to at the end of the day, someone to be there for him and loved him. But it was no tainted that it might not be real, that he might not be a true Uzumaki. A part of him wanted to ignore that and take happiness in the moment, but he didn't want to do that to Hanaka, as he didn't want it to be fake. Either way, she said, Matsumoto sensei don't want to speak to you. We're researching summoning animals here, and that ability of yours might help his research. Naruto had to raise his hand in protest. Look, we only came here because my friend was kidnapped by a giant eagle. Hanaka, eyes widened at that as she nodded in understanding. Well, that's perfect. Matsumoto sensei summoning contract is with the eagle, so he can tell you where your friend is. While Naruto was relieved to hear that, he was rather cautious about meeting these people. They were conducting experiments on summoning animals for weapons for shinobis off the national coast, as he didn't know if they were working the rebels or loyalists, or they were independent faction, didn't know what was going on. Well, alright, Hanaka said. She smiled in a way that Naruto couldn't put, but it seemed familiar. She led them out of the room, making quick progress through the forest, leading them somewhere. As Naruto was worried about Shizuku, she had been separated from them for a long time now. She saw the look on his face. I wouldn't worry about your friend. The Eagles are very honorable. Summoning. They would never harm anyone unless they were asked by their summoner, and Matsumoto Sensei would never do that. Naruto returned a smile, but he was still worried. Alright, we're here. A simple wooden door into the mountainside. She led them through it, and inside was large. As Naruto saw the lava down the bottom, yes, it was a volcano, as they were going around it. Matsumoto Sensei is really smart. He used the natural heat from the volcano to power the machinery. The molten metal inside the lava also disrupt shocker sensing techniques, make it very hard to locate. Finally, they reached the facility itself. Hanaka, a young man was sitting there. Where have you been? Matsumoto Sensei has been waiting for you. The initial stage of the experiment is beginning. The red-eyed eyes widened as she looked at the young man. Already? I thought it wasn't due for a few more days, she said. The young man shook his head. Come on. He has been searching for you for the last hours. Yagura-sama wants the experiment accelerated, so Matsumoto Sensei had to do it quicker. The girl nodded. As Naruto and Fu nearly froze in place, they now have confirmation. These people were working with Yagura and the loyalists. He now had to continue very carefully so he didn't reveal anything to himself or the people. Wait, I have to talk to him first, something has come up, she said. The young man ignored Naruto and Fu and took her arm and led her out of the base. Having nothing else to do, Naruto and Fu followed them. As Naruto was surprised by the inside, it was like nothing he ever seen before. The floor were all white tiles. The walls were carved from the volcano, giving the place a very secret base feeling to it. Scientists were all around. There was an upper level above them as well, that you could see through, people walking. As Naruto saw a giant rectangular tank that he couldn't see into, as she was approached by a old man with grey hair. Hanaka, it's good you're finally here. The procedure can begin now. He took her hand and was about to lead her away, but she pulled her hand away as he stopped and looked at her. Wait, Matsumoto Sensei, there's someone you have to meet. He took a look behind her, his eyes glanced over Naruto and Fu with suspicion, before dismissing them completely. No time, Hanaka. We have to begin the procedure. Seeing that this man was a holder of Eagle contract, Naruto was about to step forward. But Hanaka, lead them to it. You don't understand, Sensei. He has the ability to summon humans. The older man froze, his eyes looking over Naruto. He seemed to have an internal debate with himself, before he stepped over to Naruto and looked at the boy. Well, if what Hanaka said is true, you and I will have much to talk about later, Naruto-san. Unfortunately, right now I'm very busy. You should stay and watch. What I'm about to do right now will go down in history. He turned, but Naruto stepped forward. Wait, I understand that you hold the Eagle contract. A friend of mine was taken by what I think is one of your summons. We came here to retrieve her. I would happy to answer any question you have, but do please bring her back. The man sighed. In his opinion, to talk to someone that can break one of the boundaries of summoning humans was excited. Very well, he said, as he went through hand sign. Summoning, he said. Many of the scientists turned as they saw the smoke and a large eagle crouching in the room. More important though was a young girl hanging onto his legs, shivering slightly. Shizuku. Naruto rushed forward and pulled her into a tight hug as Eagle poofed away, confused by the strange location. Naruto, she said. She seemed confused and disoriented after going through another summon, and this time not from Naruto. 1 second I was up in the sky circling some island, and next, she tilted forward as she looked like she wanted to puke, as Matsumoto had grown tired of the reunion. Very well, know that he's taking care of. Anuka. She nodded as she made her way to where seals were on the ground. She crouched as she started chanting her chakra. You should watch this, young Naruto. What we're about to do is create the ultimate summoning animal. Begin the revival process. Naruto was confused by the man's words, what he meant by that. As they began the process, the liquid in the tank started to glow with a very green light. As the scientists all around started to watch, and they were looking at the machines. Matsumoto smiled. The machines in the room hummed with power, electricity crackling all around them. Great tentacles splashed around the tank, as it was joined by more. Test successful, Sensei. The creature is conscious and chakra is flowing positively. The man nodded to the scientist that had called out. Excellent, the test was a success. You can begin to suppress it now, Anuka. She nodded as her face twisted into concentration, as the same golden lines attacking before peeled from the floor as he watched, as it was like chains as they lashed forward to suppress a creature that was emerging from the tank. It looked like an oversized maggot with large squinted eyes, toothless mouth that was trapped in a yawn. It had few tentacles emerged from his body at random, that seemed to try to fight off. The golden chains erupted on the beast. The beast was subdued and it was being forced back into the tank. But one of the beast's tentacles broke free from the shackles as Anoka looked disturbed. Something is wrong, one of the scientists cried out as the reading on his monitor was fluctuating. The creature has more chakra than we anticipated. We have to abort before it breaks loose. Another woman shouted. Matsumoto seemed shocked as his features hardened. Anoka, can't you restrain it? She looked up, sweat building on her brow. I'm trying, she said. As Naruto could clearly see what was going on, the beast was absorbing the chakra from Anoka chains and weakening her while absorbing the chakra, strengthening itself. Stop! It's absorbing the chakra from the seals. You have to stop now. Matsumoto turned towards Naruto with a sneer as he was pissed off at this boy's interrupting what was supposed to be his masterpiece. Quiet, boy. You do not understand anything. Hanoka is a Uzumaki. They can seal anything. But another tentacle break loose, flaring her own deadly. Anoka winced in pain as she felt her chakra draining at an alarming rate. I can't hold it, she said. One of the beast's tentacles wrapped around the scientist and pulled him down and absorbed him into its body. All hell broke loose as the scientist started to run. Two more was grabbed as Hanoka control broke. Before it could grab anyone else though, something slammed into it violently. When the remaining scientist and Matsumoto looked around, Naruto had his arm raised as his Rinnegan was showing full view. If you won't stop it, then I will, he said. Matsumoto looked over towards his creation that was collapsed over the wall, still with the crater there. Naruto walked forward to finish the creature as Matsumoto rushed in front of him. What are you doing? What are you doing? Said Naruto. Didn't you see what that thing did to the scientist? We need to stop it before it's too late. The man shook his head, his knees shaking a bit from seeing his co-worker's death and the power that Naruto displayed. You can't. It's my life work, everything I've ever done. I put it into this. You can't. If you destroy my life, my entire life will be a waste. We need to contain it, not kill it. As the creature started to get back up, move aside. Now, Naruto shouted. The man stood firm though, as the creature fully got up. Its eyes focused on Matsumoto as Naruto reached for Shakijo to knock out the man for now, but he realized he didn't have it. As he realized he left it in the room, one of the creature tentacles lashed forward. Universal pull, said Naruto, as the tentacle grabbed nothing as Matsumoto was pulled away. As Naruto threw the man to one side and jumped away, as the tentacle crashed down where they were. The creature shrieked, its large eyes glaring at Naruto. The almighty push, said Naruto, as a force slammed into the creature. The thing's eyes started to glow red. Naruto was shocked when he realized the chakra didn't do anything. It was absorbed. It didn't impact with the beast. Well, that's not good, as he dived out of the way as another tentacle tried to crush him under the weight. He rolled to the side where Matsumoto was propping himself up on the decks, panting heavily. That won't work. The creature was designed to absorb chakra from ninjutsu. Naruto glared at the man, as that was a lot like his previous path, and would definitely make things more difficult without his Shakijo. Is there anything else you can tell me about that will allow me to defeat it? The man was having a struggle whether or not to help Naruto. You can't destroy it, please, he said. As he sounded desperate, Naruto looked at the man in disgust to allow innocent people to die just for a simple experiment. The creature launched more tentacles towards him as Naruto ducked and slid under them. A green blur then flashed past him. A moment later, the creature shrieked as one of his many tentacles dropped on the ground, severed off. Green liquid coming from the wound. Need help, Fu asked as she had two, source made from water on her arms. Naruto merely smiled at her as he started to think about what he can do. If I can hold it still, do you think you can deal with the tentacles? Fu narrowed her eyes at the creature, which was now staring at her with blood-red eyes. She nodded once as she leaped forward. Summoning, said Naruto. When the smoke-littered creature turned, looked at a new arrival with hunger. Naruto ignored it as he flipped on top of the octopus that he summoned, the Rinnegan eyes telling him that it was not a real summon. Matsumoto looked up in awe. He never heard of a octopus contract. Get ready, Fu! The octopus shot forward with surprising speed for a creature so far out of his element. The suction cup around the octopus wrapped around the creature, keeping it tight and steady. Fu then dashed forward over in a second as she sliced off all the tentacles. The creature cried out in pain as all of his tentacles fall. Green liquid of blood sprayed out of the wounds, but a new tentacle that was hidden behind his body whipped out faster than the others as it wrapped around the octopus and started to pull it. Naruto jumped back as something was immediately absorbed into the beast like he wasn't even there in the first place. I told you nothing worked against it, as Matsumoto was hiding behind the decks. It has the ability to summon other summons and grow and get stronger. As Naruto wondered what made this man create a creature that was so difficult to control, Naruto! As Naruto saw a large tentacle bigger than the ones before, about to slam down on his body. He grabbed the doctor and blasted up in mid-air, sweeping around the tentacle. The white tiles were destroyed violently as the tentacle had came down hard and powerful. As Naruto saw the beast had regrow all of his tentacles, they were longer and thicker now, each of them having a row of suction cups that belonged to the octopus. As he set Matsumo down and looked towards the beast, Hanako rushed forward, already flashing to one sign. When she got close enough, she slammed her hand on the floor as a large sealing matrix spread out. Hanoka, what are you doing? She ignored Naruto as a black sealing array started to peel off the floor, shooting her on the beast like chains. The beast struggled, but he started to be pushed to the floor. Its eyes flashed that ominous red again as the girl started to struggle from the strain. Please, do something quickly. I can't hold it for too long, she said. A long black chakra rod slipped from his sleeve. He wasn't sure if this was going to work, but he didn't want to have an opportunity like this. As Fu shoot forward as well, water-cutting blades extend from her hands. As Fu leaped up in the air, Naruto rushed forward and stabbing right into the beast's tentacle. Another chakra rod slipped from his sleeve as he stabbed into the other one. The thing cried out in pain as he stabbed into the other one. As Fu jumped as the two swords extended outwards as she slammed them into the creature's skull. Third shot though, as her chakra started to be sink away into the beast and her feet started to sink into it. Naruto, she cried out. Naruto looked before he could impale a last of tentacles as Fu was being absorbed into the creature. He was about to use his hand to draw her back with the universal pull, but the beast used his last free limb and smashed into Naruto, sending him flying away. He twisted his body and landed on the wall. Fu, no! The golden tentacle of light broke away from the creature, freeing it, but at the same time they wrapped around Fu as Hanoka drew her back. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief, but a tentacle came down on both girls, who were unprepared to do anything. But they were yanked back as Naruto pulled them and caught them as he set them on their feet. The creature was flailing around as it was in great pain from being stabbed through his tentacles and smashed right in his skull. Naruto watched the beast dragging out the rods, crying in pain as it did, as they saw Matsumoto walking towards the beast. Hanako, eyes wide in horror. Matsumoto-sensei, what are you doing? That's right. You recognize me, don't you? It's me, your creator. Your father, he said as he looked towards the giant beast that turned towards him. The beast screeched angrily. This wasn't going to be good. But guys, be in this episode right here. If you want the next part, Descendant to do, like, subscribe, comment, and turn on the bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. But I'm off now. And remember guys, stay tuned for the brand new episode over in Anime Making 3. I'll be leaving the link at the top of the description for you guys to enjoy. So stay tuned for that. And I do hope that you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, I'm off for now. See you guys soon over in Anime Making 3. Peace guys.